If you ever turned on a radio in Tulsa, then you'll be so glad you stuck around for more Explore Tulsa.
Since the 1970s, Tulsa has tuned to KMOD for their rock music fix.
Heck, actress Jeannie Triplehorn used to work the morning show with Phil Stone before mornings became infamous with Phil and Brent and their character Roy D. Mercer.
And for the past 9 years, midday talent Lynn Hernandez has steadily become the face of KMOD.
I started in college radio at my college radio station in Findlay, Ohio, University of Findlay, 88.3 WLFC. I had no inclination to be in radio at all. I just fell backwards into it, and now, 25 years later, still doing it. I ended up being just a DJ all the way to a program director, general manager by the time I left the college station. And then I got an actual job at an actual radio station, and that was different and exciting. And then I moved to Texas, and Austin was great, just such a great music town. And, yeah, it was great. The program director and operations manager, Don Christie, and I worked together when I was in Austin about 15 years ago. And then I moved to Dallas. And I'm a big Dallas Cowboys fan and got to have the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders on my show all the time. Why? Why not? It was rock radio in Dallas, and it was awesome. And as fate happens, he ended up coming to Tulsa. And then when I was leaving Dallas, he called me and said, come on up to Tulsa, be on DJ on KMOD. I didn't hesitate for a minute. When you're in radio, it's a small industry. It really is a small world and getting smaller, but it doesn't matter where you are in the country. You hear of these big, giant rock stations and radio legends from all over the country. So yeah, absolutely. I knew about KMOD when I first started getting into radio in college, and we were reading college radio magazines all the time and trade magazines, and you would hear about all these big DJs and big rock stations, and by God, Roy D. Mercer and KMOD was always you know, something that I looked for in the trade magazines.
KMOD, Led Zeppelin, Over the Hills and
My
Far
first
Away.
day,
My name is Lynn Hernandez.
I was, as you can imagine, nervous, extremely excited and honored, and could not wait to meet Phil and Brent. And I came in about 9:30. The control room door was open, and I just sort of peeked my head in, and there they were, sitting behind the microphones, Phil and Brent. And Phil sort of looked over at me and he said, can I help you? And then Brent looked at me and said, who the hell are you? I said, well, I'm your new midday guy. And they just went back to what they were doing. And that's how our relationship started. You know, there's computer software to help you schedule music. But the drive-through lunch is all request and no holds bar. It's a crazy show. You never know what you're gonna hear. Some crazy classic rock song or some brand new song or a song from a genre you haven't heard since the 90s. And it's all attributed to our operations manager, Don Christie. When I got here, he hired me to come to Tulsa and said, that noon hour in your show, I want you to come up with an idea. And I said, how about an all request drive-through lunch? And he said, have at it. And I'm proud to drive it. We have a show too every Friday night, an hour dedicated to local and independent music. It's called Domp. It's our 1 hour that we attribute to the local music scene in Tulsa. The studio is called Prehistoric Studio B, and it's a whole separate room that's designed and wired and soundproofed just for live music. The music scene in Tulsa has grown quite a bit in just the 9 years I've been here. There's clubs that have live music. We have the BOK Center, so we don't have to drive to Oklahoma City for big concerts anymore. And the Brady Arts District is thriving with Guthrie Green, and it's just a really exciting time. This is the 100th year anniversary for Brady Theater. And Kane's Ballroom, of course, is just so great. And Hard Rock with the Joint, and yeah, it's just a great, great time for music in Tulsa. I lucked out. I really did. It is very hard to get into radio, and even harder to stay in it. Tulsa is such a great place to live. I don't ever want to go anywhere else. I have 2 beautiful children, and I want to raise my family here. for me and my future here in radio. I hope it's a long one.